Hello. Good evening. Marietta back with another video. Y'all know I thought I would share something with y'all. We talk about a lot of things on this channel, and we talk about a lot of things that inflation is affecting. One thing I want to let y'all know also that I found out today while I was moving around, that the restaurants are crashing due to the inflation that's going on in the world today as well. A lot of the restaurants that are suffering. A lot of the restaurants are not getting the customers they used to get. I happened to walk into a Chipotle today, and as I walked into Chipotle today, Chipotle used to always be packed because it more or less catered to the younger, as they say, the middle class crowd. Well, this Chipotle I happened to went into, there was only 3 people sitting in there, and I've always been to Chipotle and saw Chipotle would be packed out. Well, when I sat there and I talked to the people up front, I was like, "What's going on? Y'all for slow today? It looks like not too many people join us today." Yes, the lady said, "Yeah, it's been slow for quite a while. People just don't have the money to eat out anymore. People are actually using their money wisely, more wisely. Even some of the younger people. Shout out to the younger people that are learning that it's better that you hold on to your coins." And then I continued to leave there and went to the McDonald's because I was gonna bring my son back some chicken nuggets as he loves, and then so he hasn't had any in a while. So I decided I would go through the McDonald's drive-through and bring him back a meal. So as I got there, I was able to roll on through the drive-through. Usually I'd have to park and wait and sit and burn on half a tank of gas, just letting it run, cut the engine off and just sit there because it would be so crowded. Well, I noticed that even at the McDonald's, it just seemed as though that people do not have the money to be eating out much anymore. I mean, a lot of the major chains are struggling, they're suffering. I mean, they are feeling the cost of this inflation without having the money moving like money should be moving through the area, or moving through your town or through your city. Money's just not moving like it used to. And when money begins to slow down, that means a lot of things will happen. That a lot of places will be struggling, trying to stay open. And as they realize that they cannot struggle, they begin to drown. And then the doors begin to close. And that's when we see major problems happen in our area and in our communities where we don't have the resources, nor do we be able to have the things that we want or the things that we enjoy the most. Because I mean, who don't like a burger every now and then? Who don't like to go out and enjoy life every now and then? Who don't want to be able to take their family out for a good meal once in a while? Well, what we're finding now that most people are not able to take their families out for something simple as a burger and some fries, or get them a Coke and just enjoy their company. And you know how I used to go to McDonald's and everybody order what they want to order and sit around the round table and just giggle and laugh and have fun. Even on the inside, you could look through the window. It seemed like a sad spirit that was going on inside because you used to seeing kids that would be all over the place. Remember they used to have the McDonald's playlands and all of that inside of the McDonald's when it was so happy and exciting for you to take your kids to McDonald's, and they used to scream for McDonald's. Well, it don't seem like that anymore because you hardly even ever see any smaller children in the McDonald's like it used to be. It's always working people trying to make it, dashing in to grab something to eat, or you see a lot of DoorDash people going in, picking up their orders to take to order out. But the restaurant sales are crashing due to the inflation. And then as I got a chance to do some of the research and see exactly how the restaurants were doing, I found out that Denny's was one of the ones that was on the list that will be closing some of its doors. And I think it was like anywhere between 80 to 90. I think I seen that they were going to be closing within the next year. Jack in the Box came up as closing. 120 doors will be closing. And then I seen Burger King on the list. And well, I was saddened to see that Wendy's was on the list because I love Wendy's. I love Wendy's chili, but Wendy's is also closing some of its doors. Not all the doors of these major chains are closing, from what I could see and what I could find out. But 72 Wendy's around the country will be around the world will be closing. And Burger King, they had 300 and some 300, I think 65 or 75 or 77 Burger Kings that will be closing. And TGI Friday, back home in Delaware, we had a TGI Friday. I love going to TGI Friday, and they're talking about 100 of those will be closing. But TGI Friday, they sold some of the best food. I loved to go in there to eat at TGI Friday. It was such a clean place. It was more or less like a bar and grill type atmosphere, but it was really nice. You could go there, you could sit and watch TV. It was nice and quiet. It was always nice and clean. And then Popeyes. Come on, Popeyes is on the list. Popeyes, will be shutting down some of its doors as well. I think a lot of these chains are closing due to the fact of the inflation. People just do not have the money. When people don't have the money and the money's not moving the way it should, some of these doors have to be shut because of the fact that they're wasting food, they'll be wasting time, they'll be wasting paying employees for people not being there. They're overstaffed. I even pulled in an Arby's. There's an Arby's on one of the highways I ran into. I pulled into an Arby's, and when I pulled into Arby's, the doors was locked. As I come around, I seen a big sign that said doors locked. You have to come through the drive-through. So when I went through the drive-through, there was a young man in there, and he took my order. He took my order and through the drive-through, and then when I got to the window to pay him, he left to go get my order, but I could clearly see that there was no one else in that store but him. That store was so quiet. There were no other employees working. He went, he made my food, and a shout out to him because it came out nice and warm. The food was good and hot, where you could tell that he took the minute because it took him a while to come back with it. But when he came back with it, it was good and hot and it was well prepared. But there was nobody else in the line behind me, and there was nobody in the store working that I saw but him. You could not hear no other employees, no nothing. So a lot of these people are now starting to lock the doors. I went to a Burger King also, and it was working the same way. One man was in the Burger King, and then there was a car in back of me, and it started blowing the horn. But the gentleman let me know as he was taking my order that he was working by himself. So as I leaned out of my window, I let the car in back of me know, "I'm so sorry, sir, but he said he's working by himself. There's nobody in the store to help him. So he's taking one order at a time." Well, that car was very impatient, so they pulled off, but I waited for my order, and my heart went out to the young man because he was trying to hold down a whole store all by himself. I mean, this is a story. If anybody know how these fast food chains work on the inside, when you walk up in the Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's or any of these chains, there should never be one person working by themselves or one person trying to hold down a whole store or trying to hold down a whole line, because God forbid, what if they got a bus? What if they got swamped? I have worked at McDonald's in my younger years, and we used to get buses that used to come in. And when you got a bus, you needed a team. You need to make sure that you had a team on them lines ready to go and be ready to get that food out and make sure that it's as warm, as hot as it's supposed to be when it goes out, but you had to get it out quickly. That's why it was called fast food, because you had to push it out. Imagine one person getting swamped with a bus, and he got to come back to the window and say, "I can't fulfill that order. I can't do that. I'm all by myself." Or he tries to do it by himself, and something happens to him outside that store, and there's nobody in there for him to report to. It's just so many dangers when you're working by yourself in these restaurants and these type of situations. So I wouldn't advise no one to allow no employer to allow you or put you in a situation, even though you have to have a job, but there's no reason for you to put your life in danger when you're working all by yourself in a fast food restaurant, where you could slip and fall, anything could happen. And like I said, there always should be another set of eyes on you. But as these restaurants suffer, that's just my opinion now. That's just my opinion. Y'all type in the comments what you think and what you feel about that situation. But the restaurants are losing sales. They're losing money. They're putting out more money to pay the employees, so therefore they're laying off. That's causing people to lose jobs, because why would I continue to keep bringing people into my establishment? Say I own the Burger King, or I own the Hardee's, or I own the Wendy's or the Jack in the Box or any of these places that's out here. We got a new Whataburger just moved in our area, and I go by there sometimes and I don't see nobody there either. So it's like saying, and then we got a Slim Chicken. All these new restaurants are coming, but you don't see no people there. But I got to thinking to myself, what if you own one of these restaurants and then all of a sudden you hire and you expect one person to run it, or you hire you got one of these restaurants and then you can't afford to pay for a full staff to come in or have enough employees to be able to run the place, because you don't need but one or two because of the fact that there's nobody there. But you should be one of them ones to be on duty to watch this restaurant and how it operates, because they could get swamped. There should be some people on standby. But in the same respect, they're losing money because of the fact that people do not have the money to go out to eat as much. So that means they're buying inventory that they cannot get rid of, or that they got to keep in a freezer for too long, or they just can making too much food during the day, and most of it has to go in the trash can at the end of the night. Anybody that has worked fast food, at the end of the night things get thrown away, so therefore there'll be nobody there to purchase these things, so they have to be tossed out. So when we think about the fact of going out to eat and taking our families out to eat, we realize that we cannot afford to take them out to eat, because the average family before all this happened probably went out twice a week, 3 times a week. They just enjoyed themselves, and it was just a thought. Y'all want some burgers, y'all want to go out and get something to eat. It was just like and now you don't hear that no more. You don't even hear people calling you, asking you out. How many times have people called you and asked you out in the week? Have you noticed that your invitations have slowed down? Do you notice your invitations have slowed down for dinner dates? Do you know that your invitations have slowed down for people even inviting you to their house to come out to eat? Because the restaurants cannot keep up with this rising cost of inflation like anything and everything else. They have overhead to pay. So many restaurants, I've even seen restaurants online where they're asking for GoFundMe, they're asking for donations to stay afloat and to stay open for the month or whatever, because they're asking for people to please come because it's a family restaurant and they don't want to see themselves go out of business. Or if y'all really want to keep us in town and we're doing a GoFundMe, can y'all donate to the cause? Well, that's all well and fine if you get the donations for that 1 month, but then what you going to do for the following month? If and so you see yourself going under, there's nothing else for you to do but to close. But in the same, because the inflation is hitting not just the restaurants, it's hitting everybody, but the restaurants, some of the restaurants are closing, and then you got some that are reaching out for help to stay open. You got the small mom and pop restaurants that really need to stay open because that's how they pay their bills. It's so many moving parts in this type of a situation where it comes down to the restaurants that are crashing due to the inflation. You will find that a lot of them will have to go out of business. You will end up a ghost town in your area. So if you're in one of them areas where these restaurants could be closing down, and there's a whole list of them, you can Google and see what restaurants may be closing, just like stores and things of that nature that are closing, that are leaving the areas. You just got to do your homework and see exactly which ones. Hold on a minute. Yeah, you just got to do your homework and see which ones in your area are closing. Because being by just me and my son, and he's limited to some of the things that he can eat because he can only eat soft stuff due to his esophagus issues. But I make sure that he eats plenty and he got his feeding tube that he can do what he want to do. But when I go out to eat, and I pull up at a restaurant and I grab myself something to eat, it just seems strange if I get out and go in and then there's nobody there. And, a lot of times, you might want to sit in, but because of the fact that you're the only one there, you feel like you're bothering the waitress or the waiters, or you're holding people's table up, or, which means there's nobody there. So you're not holding it up from the public. You're holding up a table that somebody who works there, they may not want to just have to clean that one table. They be like, they look at you right crazy sometimes, like, get your food and go. Why would you stay here and dirty up my table when there's nobody else here? They want to all chill and hang out in the break room with everybody else. But right now we're looking at an inflation crisis is going on around the world, different change, different situations, different things are happening. But I just wanted to come to the line tonight and let y'all know that y'all restaurants are also suffering, and there's really not a lot we can do because we're prepping our houses, and we're using our money wisely, and we're not using our money to eat as much out, especially if you're just one person. It is cheaper for me. Now, this is just for me because I like chicken wings. So it's cheaper for me to go and pay a few dollars and get them chicken wings already cooked, already done, on the road, on the go, and I don't have to come home and dirty up my kitchen. I don't have to dirty up my frying pan. I don't have to do none of that because I can do that, because it's just me. But if you got, and trust me, I don't do that often. It's just every now and then I got to treat myself because I work hard, so I deserve to have a treat every now and then. And plus, I don't have no significant other to take me out, so I takes my own stuff out. I make sure that I keeps myself happy. I make sure that I takes myself and treat myself too every now and then. But if you got 3 and 4 and 5 headed kids, and you got a husband and maybe 3 or 4 kids, you may only can go out maybe once a month or maybe once every 2 months in this type of economy, because you want to make sure that you got enough food to last around your house for the long haul, or basically that you're teaching your kids that now mommy and daddy cannot go spend a whole bunch of money on McDonald's, or we can't spend a whole bunch of money on eating out because we're now doing things at home. So now I'm gonna be Miss McDonald's, and I'm gonna make you some homemade chicken nuggets, and I'm gonna put you some french fries in the oven, and we're gonna get a movie, and we're gonna get up on the couch with our nice warm cozy blankets, and we're gonna watch a movie as a family. Does anybody do that anymore? Do y'all do that with y'all kids? I remember doing that with the foster kids as well. I remember cooking for my kids when they were little, and my kids now can cook. I'm trying to tell y'all, my grown kids, if you teach them kids how to cook when they're little, they will be cooking even into their old age. I can knock on wood and say, if I get sick and I get hungry, All of my kids know how to cook. Y'all teach them kids how to cook. Get them kids in the kitchen. Get them out of these restaurants. Get them out of these fast food restaurants. Begin to save your money. Begin to move in a different way, and let them restaurants go ahead and close up, because everybody got to prepare their house, because restaurants got to prepare their house too. Whoever owned Wendy's got to prepare their house, and they realized that they cannot support that store no more. They just got to support their house, because they're not upset, because they understand that inflation is hitting everybody's house right now. So the restaurants, some of them may have to close. And as they begin to close, that means you got to get them pots and pans out from underneath that counter, blow the dust off them, and start rattling them pots and pans at home. And you can make them same meals at home. Chipotle can be made at home. McDonald's can be made at home. Wendy's can be made at home. You can cook TGI Friday at home. You can sit there and make blooming onions that they make at the steakhouse. You can make all those things at home. There's recipes online for just about everything that you want to make right about now. You can even make some Kentucky Fried Chicken online. They may not have the very same recipe that they use online, but you can get creative with them seasonings in your kitchen, and you'll realize that you got your own restaurant if you just get in there and work that kitchen the way you know how. Making fried rice. I made fried rice one night for the first time, and I don't know how long, and I cooked my rice a day ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator, let it dry. Day-old rice is the best rice to fry, y'all. So I mean, there's just so many things that you can do and prepare yourself, because your restaurants are crashing. The restaurants are crashing under the inflation as well as anything else. So you may go to your local restaurant and you'll realize there's nobody there. You might go to your local restaurant and realize that they're short of help. And that's another thing. You may have to wait a little longer for your food when you go to these inside restaurants now, because they're working short staffed. They are short staffed just like anybody else. And they have to get the cook, and then they have to bring the food out, and they have to take your order, and they have to make sure everything is right. So it may take you a little longer to get your food because of the fact that they are working short staffed, because of the inflation. Inflation is not just hitting your house, it's hitting everybody's house. And when money's moving, it interrupts everything that goes on in this world today. Is being disrupted by this inflation, because money is not moving the way it used to be. Money is not moving through the community. It's not moving through your home. It's not moving through your job. It's not moving through your restaurants. It's just not moving. So therefore, there's going to be a change. So when you go out to eat, expect to wait a little longer. When you go out to eat, I'm even going to say be mindful of the fact that the food might not even taste the same, because it's not being made with the same love. It's being made with stress and depression and inflation. So with that being said, it's like saying, I mean, be prepared. Be prepared. That's all I'm going to say is be prepared. Be prepared for the fact that your food may not look or taste the same as it used to, because there's not that many hands that are making it. It's not being, it may be made by too many hands. As they say, there's too many hands in the pot. So, because I have been places and I've gotten things that I have had to take back, send back. But when I send it back, I actually canceled the order due to the fact that I'm not one to give you a second chance of messing up my food. It's like saying if I get it one time and it does not get right, I understand that you're working short, and I understand, but you still want the same pay for the same price of this food. And I expect the food to come out hot. I expect the food to come out tasteful, and I expect it to be served with love. I expect it to be served with a smile. I expect it to be served with respect. But there's so much energy, so much negative energy out here. You got to be careful when you go out to eat. So expect things sometimes not to be the way you want them to be. So with that being said, I just want to let y'all know that the restaurants are also suffering. A lot of them do need your coins in order for them to stay open. They still need you to circle that money through them restaurants. If y'all want y'all local restaurants to stay open, then you're going to have to circle through and visit them. You're going to have to circle through and spend some money. You're going to have to circle through and sit down every now and then and help keep them open. It's just like saying that little mom and pop store in your community. If you want that store to stay open, then you have to stop going to Walmart. You have to stop running outside of your town and start spending within your town, within your community, so that your area can continue to flow, because they need that income. They need them products to be circling in and out. They need to be able to sell some things in order for them to stay afloat, because that's how they're going to keep that building alive. They're going to keep the lights on. They're going to be able to keep the heat on. They're going to be able to keep the deliveries coming in. They're going to be able to keep that store packed tight. The shelves going to stay full, but they're only going to be able to do that if you support the local stores in your communities, support the local restaurants in your community. The restaurants are suffering. The restaurants are crashing under the due to the inflation, just like anything else. But that's what I don't hear a lot of people talking about, because a lot of people feel as though that it's just all about the grocery stores. And no, it becomes a domino effect after a while. When money's not moving through any area, it becomes a domino effect, and it hurts all areas. All aspects of our lives are being touched by this inflation. And we as a people are bracing for the worst. We are bracing for the worst. So it's like saying, if we can't help keep these chains open, they have no other choice but to shut down. They have no other choice but to crash. But we cannot help keep them open at this time when we're suffering ourselves, when we're trying to prepare our house, when we're trying to make sure we can eat. We're trying to make sure we survive. But we got to bring food home, because we cannot run to that restaurant in the midst of the storm to get a plate of rice and get a plate of beans, and they done closed down and they done took all their food somewhere else and all their money going somewhere else, and now your house is empty because you chose to eat out, not thinking that you need at least 3 to 6 months worth of food stacked up in your house, if not a year. But a lot of people not realizing that you need to stack some food up in your house. You need to have some beans and some rice. I mean, it's like saying, we got to understand that the restaurants closing down, all of them are not going to close down. There's still going to be some restaurants open, but right now restaurants are feeling it. They are truly feeling it. And restaurant owners are crying out. They're letting us know that they're in trouble. They're letting us know that they need help. Like I said, I even seen a couple online where they were asking for the community to help them stay afloat, or they were asking for GoFundMe pages to stay afloat for these mom and pop restaurants. But there's nothing that the community can really do when they're suffering themselves. So with that being said, I just want y'all to know that I love y'all, and I wanted to bring y'all this and have this on your mind to be able to, if you can afford to, help your local restaurant stay open. That's the only way it's going to stay open. But other than that, these restaurants, those are the restaurants that will be shutting down. They will be closing down, and a lot of them are going to be leaving the area where you are. So with that being said, if and so you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you over here. And by the way, we're on a journey to get 20K over here, and we want to keep that algorithm moving. It helps the channel a lot when y'all hit the like button. So just hit the like button, please, and stay with us for a while. And if you've not turned your notification bells on, turn your notification bells on so you will be notified when I drop my next video. Y'all be blessed and have a wonderful good night. And if you can afford to go out and eat, go out and get yourself some good food. But if not, buy them bags of beans and rice and put them in your prepper cabinet.